Hello, hey, my name is Yenneth, and I'm going to be your tour guide through Veeshan's Peak. We're going to take a look at some of the lore surrounding this place, getting the key, and as always, this ride is hosted by Chef's Kiss. To begin, we need to find a medallion of the Jarsath, a medallion of the Obulus, and a medallion of the Kai Long. Remember, we enjoy pain so much that each medallion is actually in 3 pieces that we will refer to as top, middle, and bottom, which comes to 9 different pieces if you aren't keeping track. 8 of them are pretty easy to get, but there is one that was hell on earth. Picture 40 people standing around in Swamp of No Hope waiting for a ground spawn. That's what I'm going to need you to do. There will also be 10 invisible rogues and bards running around, so even if you think you have a spawn point that isn't contested, just imagine 5 invisible players that are standing around with you. Set a timer, check back every 15 minutes or so, and if you're lucky, it will spawn at your feet and you can complete your medallion. Now, you hold all 9 pieces of the 3 medallions. What's next? Grab the hot glue gun and get ready to glue these bad boys together. No. Remember, we hate ourselves, so instead we're going to travel out to Timorous Deep to find Mr. Ziblin Fizzlebick, who has a hot glue gun, and he's going to stick them together for you. After that, we're going to Slixin Klex in the Burning Woods. This guy is just a skeleton, so I'm not sure how he does what he does, but he'll magically give you a complete medallion. Last up, we're heading to the Lake of Ill Omen to talk to Professor Akabo, who will finish gluing your 3rd medallion together, and ta-da! All done. Now we can do Veeshan's Peak. Nope, just kidding. Now you gotta go to Old Seblis and kill Trakenon, who is an angry dragon guy. You gotta steal his tooth, just one, and bring it to this guy called Emperor Ganak in Trakenon's teeth. This guy is gonna give you your key to Veeshan. I don't know how Emperor Ganak knows that this particular tooth is Trakenon's, but whatever. We can continue to Veeshan's Peak. Once you have got your key in hand, we can head over to Skyfire Mountains, which is actually kind of an awesome name, Skyfire. In Skyfire, we will find Veeshan's Peak entrance. Somehow this little key opens this giant door. Listen, don't question this stuff. Just assume it's some magical doodad that recognizes the door, and it opens up for you like you're walking into a grocery store. I don't know. Now again, as referenced in many of my Everquest videos, I am a new player to the Everquest raiding scene, so I actually thought it'd be kind of fun to take a little dip our big old pinky toe into the pool of Everquest lore. There's a bunch of dragons here, and there's this dude called Emperor Ganak, who is giving us the key to Veeshan's Peak. And turns out all of these guys have a little bit of lore tied to them in the surrounding area where they're from. So we're going to be starting with this guy, Emperor Ganak. This is the guy that gives us the key. Now, reading directly from the wiki, this guy was the final emperor of the Ixar Empire. This guy died doing battle in the Field of Bone with a dragon called Jaladar. Or maybe it's Jalildar. I'm just going to say Jaladar. I actually just met the Shade of Jaladar to gain entry into the Sleeper's Tomb, which is a whole nother thing, but for now we're focusing on Veeshan's Peak. According to Emperor Ganak, the key he has is actually the last key to Veeshan's Peak, so you're going to have to solo all of it. No, I'm kidding. He actually has a whole bunch, but he says he only has one. According to his dialogue that he gives you as you're going through the quest, he references the dragons here as the Ring of Scale. Reading from the wiki, the Ring of Scale is split from the Claws of Veeshan. They are described as an aggressive faction of dragons who wish to subjugate or destroy all of the mortal races, while the Claws of Veeshan are a bit more chill. The Claws of Veeshan They're a bit like that old guy across the street with the binoculars. He's watching you mow your lawn and judging you for not mowing it every 2 days, while the Ring of Scale are more like Nazis. Continuing our conversation with Emperor Ganak while getting the key, he will mention that the medallions you are to collect to gain entry into Veeshan's Peak are medallions of fallen Ixar tribes. The Kailong, Obulus, and Jarsath. He mentions these lizards were destroyed by the warriors of the Kunzar. Or maybe the Kunzar. We're going to go with the Kunzar. This is actually pretty interesting because in later dialogue with Emperor Ganak, he says that the Kunzar and the Nathsar are also fallen Ixar tribes. Emperor Ganak says that in order for us to gain entry into the peak, we need to give him the medallions of his fallen people. Specifically, he wants Jarsath, Obulus, and Kailong. Each of these factions have a bit of lore attached to them when I looked it up. It was pretty long, especially the Kailong. But each of them had a little bit of a tidbit at the front, which is like a TLDR, that's what we're going to focus on. So, these Kailong lizards, these guys were the intellectuals, the smart boys, the smart lizards, as it were. They were among the Shisar trustees. The Jarsath were a proud and primitive tribe who are described as having a cannibalistic bloodthirst. The Obelists are claimed to be peaceful. They're just chill lizards, I guess. According to this little lore on the wiki, it says that this is believed to be where the Ixar get shaman and beast lords from. The final part is the Tooth of Trakenon, who is a poison dragon in Sebelis. Now, in order to get into Sebelis, that requires a key, which is coincidentally also granted by Emperor Ganak. This dude's just holding all kinds of keys. He wants a medallion of the final 2 Ixar tribes, the Kunzar and the Nathsar. The Nathsar don't really have anything listed on their lore page that I could really find, but the Kunzar are listed as being warlike and the most organized of the lizards. They marched on the other 4 Ixar tribes under a would-be emperor, Venerable Sathir. Sathir. Where have I heard that before? Oh, that's right. Emperor Ganak Sathir. That's right. Venerable Sathir, Mr. Big Bad Necromancer himself, united all the Ixar tribes into the Sibilisi... I can't say this word. Listen, I'm going to do my best, all right? The Sibilisian Empire. The Sibilisian Empire. We're going to go with Sibilisian? Sibilisian. I'm sorry for anyone listening to this. As all necromancers do, he tried to cheat death by storing his essence in a jewel, but like all Ixars so far, his heir tossed that thing in the garbage and took over because he wanted the power, man, right? Like, come on, can you blame the guy? He's an Ixar. This is where the Ring of Scale finally comes in. These dragons were watching the Ixar from across the street with their binoculars and were like, yo, we should kill them. Those guys suck. Jaladar and Emperor Ganak took care of each other, while Trakenon, described as the general of the Ring of Scale, went to Sebelis and trashed the place. So, of course, the final part of gaining entry into Veeshan's Peak is that Emperor Ganak Sathir wants to see a Tooth of Trakenon. He wants that guy dead, and honestly, can you blame him? Again, I'm not sure how he knows which dragon's tooth is what. Maybe each tooth is signed Trakenon or something. I mean, come on. Oh, and you can actually fight Venerable Sathir. He's chilling in this place called Karnor's Castle. I'm not really doing any of this like justice. Each of these guys has a bit of lore, and it's honestly, it's going to take forever to go into all of them because we're mostly just trying to focus on Veeshan's Peak. After delivering the 3 medallions of the fallen Ixar tribes, along with a tooth, he will give you a key to Veeshan's Peak. He has a real cool line here, which I'm going to read to you. It comes with the final turn-in. I reward you with the key you seek. A place shall be prepared for your souls among the most honored of the dead. Soon you will be seeing the world through the shroud of death. That's friggin' awesome, man. Okay, Yeah, so we're distracted again. Let's zone into Veeshan's Peak finally. Again, we're reading off the wiki, and it says that when Veeshan's Peak was released, it came with a statement from the sort of developers. And the statement is listed on the P99 wiki, so I'm going to read it to you. It says, "We recommend that only the most advanced and organized players in the game even attempt to enter this zone. The customer service staff will not assist players in any way in regards to the zone. This includes help for issues such as unrecoverable corpses or characters finding themselves stuck, bugs, etc." Pretty ominous, but kind of cool. It sounds kind of lame in 2024 saying it and looking at it, but I mean, this was way back then, right? Like, this is pretty cool stuff coming from, Everquest when this came out. Veeshan's Peak has 6 big bad dragons hanging out there. Supposedly Trachanon was here, but the dude was in Seblis eating Ixars, so he's not here anymore. The 6 here are Zygas, Silverwing, Faradar, Nexona, Hashkar, and Drushk. I couldn't actually find a whole lot of information about them, if I'm being honest. Maybe I didn't know where to look, but all the places with all the other lore, I couldn't really find anything about any of these specific dragons. Faradar is listed as the current leader of the Ring of Scale. One of the wikis did, however, describe the Ring of Scale as having current members and former members, which was a little interesting. So the current members being listed as Faradar, Hashkar, Drushk, Isorpa of the Ring, Talendor, Gornair, Nexona, Zygas, and Silverwing. Isorpa is in the Western Wastes, while Talendor is wandering around Skyfire Mountains, and Gornair is wandering around Dreadlands. The other 6 are the guys that you're going to see inside Veeshan's Peak. The former members are listed as Lady Vox, Lord Nagafun, Trachanon, Jaladar, and Garudon. Garudon. Gyarados. There we go. We know about Jaladar and Trachanon already. We talked about them earlier. Lord Nagafun is in Nagafin's lair. Who would have thought, right? Lady Vox is in Permafrost Keep. Lord Nagafun and Lady Vox were banished from the claws of Veeshan for plotting to get it on and breed another prismatic dragon like Carafim, who is the Sleeper. Garudon's spirit is somewhere in Vexar. The Sleeper is like the biggest and baddest dragon to have ever dragoned, but he's not in Veeshan's Peak and he's not that important yet. I mean, he's important, but we're just looking at Veeshan's Peak, man. That's it. That's all we're doing right now. Now, I don't want to get too distracted by diving into the Sleeper's Tomb stuff yet, so let's just take a look at Veeshan's Peak. I believe we've covered most stuff about these guys within, which sort of just leaves the best part, bullying the dragons and stealing their loot. The first guy we're going to look at is Silverwing. Believe it or not, he's a silver dude. This guy's honestly, he's a wimp. I don't really even need to describe what he does. You stick him on a corner, beat him up. Next up, we're stopping in the dragon breeding den, and we're beating up this dragon called Faradar, which according to our brief research earlier, Jaladar fathered the Dar brood. This dragon is, however, another wimp. Stick it on a corner, proceed to curb stomp. After the curb stomping, we're taking a look at Hashkar. This big bad has a nasty disease cloud. It hurts you, and if you can't resist it, you'll want to use Nag or some other program to hide around the corner and avoid it every time it's up. Basically, it's like Deadly Boss mods or Cactbot, if you're used to World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. It's just a little warning. It'll pop up on your screen and be like, hey, disease cloud coming in 10 seconds. And then, when it's like at 2 seconds, you just run around the corner. Once we have Hashkar roasting on a spit, we're doing this guy called Zygas. This guy's basically, he's just a nerdy librarian. He's got an AoE silence. Again, you can just use the timer and just avoid this stuff around a corner. Zygas is otherwise pretty easy, especially if you're melee. You just stand there, man. Once the librarian has been silenced, we next do Drushk. This guy is one of those annoying dragons that dispels, and if you can't resist or protect your buffs, you're going to lose them if you don't hide. It also hurts a bit, but we're going to use that wonderful and delightful corner strategy. You stick this guy in a corner, he don't know what to do. However, last and the worst is Nexona. This one sucks the big one. If you get hit and you're not able to resist, you get snared, which makes it harder to get back around a corner to avoid the next one. The snare is also a massive dot that will be ticking the entire time unless someone takes it off you. And there we go. We cleared Veeshan's Peak. We learned a bit about some of these NPCs. And hey, listen, I'm a new player, so I expect a bunch of people to be typing away saying I'm doing something wrong or I'm a bad at Bard or lore's wrong and it's actually X. Yeah, sorry about that. The community thus far has already beat you. I have hundreds of messages already saying how terrible of a player I am. More EverQuest adventures to come.